Super from Andrew, who said, speaking of fun, it would be great if you could speak to the Ret Paladin mess going on and the long arm of the law mess statement the devs put out telling us, basically, we still know better than you.
I am completely out of the loop for this entirely.
Okay, buy time.
Hello, is anyone willing to sell time at a reasonable price? We don't have the most money going on, but we could maybe strike a deal. What have you got for sale you can give them for time?
Feedback Paladins.
Feedback
this
Paladins.
This is probably it.
Yeah, we'll see if this is it. Red Paladins. Weird. Usually I would see some noise with that, but I've been substantially less online, which I would highly recommend.
Okay. What do we got here? What do we got? What? This ain't long armor.
Who makes the minutes fall dead amounting to no passing hour? Yep.
I honestly have no idea.
I mean, long arm of the law was the speed, right? I'm really sorry. I don't remember long arm. It's this. Is it the extra range hand of justice, or is it the speed boost judgment, speed boost hand of justice?
No, it's Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, okay.
Hang on.
Okay, I'm sure someone said something.
Oh, successful. Wait.
To the Tuesday Alpha Notes, apparently.
Oh, and the Tuesday Alpha Notes. Okay, right. Yeah. Let's bring up the Tuesday Alpha Notes.
Where's the feedback from anyone that actually enjoys Divine Steed? Yeah. Really cool fantasy. Fucking terrible to play with. I've gotten used to it now that it's really long in Shadowlands. But when they take that away, I'll be back to, can I please have speed of light back?
I mean, the whole idea of just the way that I get around is having a 1.5 second horse. It's pretty, like, weird, isn't it?
It's a
you just appear in a horse for like 1.5 seconds. And
it's a cool idea.
1 second horse. Very strange.
It's a cool idea, and then you play a Tauren Paladin, you're like, whoops, sorry. I need to go fast during PvP. Sorry, I'm in, Warsong Gulch. Can't get through the door fast. Whoops. Sorry about that. Horsey can't go indoors. It's really scuffed. It's the Tuesday Alpha Notes.
Okay. Here they are.
Notes. Very good. We got them up. Beaut.
Evoker, Hunter, Paladin.
Can't Paladins bubble hearth? Isn't that enough mobility?
Long arm of the law has been deleted.
Yep.
We recognize that movement is fun and feels good when attached to short cooldown buttons. That said, our goal for Retribution Paladin is to keep their strengths in removing things that hinder their mobility or charge into battle in the Divine Steed, not to give them short duration bursts of movement on a very short cooldown.
Oh yeah, long arm of the law was the successful judgments increased your movement speed by 50% for 3 seconds, which is fucking perfect. That's perfect. That is obviously long arm of the law is a great name for a talent as well, or a PvP ability. But the idea of just I have just gotten in range, you're now fucked. Especially with Hand of Hindrance resulting in a pretty decent slow means you can gain on people. And if you can, because obviously Judgment's cooldown's a bit longer than 3 seconds. So there is a gap to get away. It's not perfect, but the idea of just going, no, Divine State, it's fine. We understand. This doesn't fit our view for Paladin. You're like, well, fuck your view for Paladin, basically. If your view for Paladin is it's not allowed AoE outside Divine Storm until Consecration finally gets important in Dragonflight. Like, well, cool, you've just added that. Wonderful. Oh yeah, that's one part of your build. Fuck you. You can't have more complexity. Also, we've taken your cooldown and split it up like we did with Feral Druids. You're like, oh, I love when I get Avenging Wrath and it's shit. That makes me very happy. Very happy indeed.
Well, the thing is that some of that is going to feel just good and fine when you are leveling up your character and building all of that.
Yes.
But then when you feel, if you ever in a situation where to feel like you need to take a talent you don't want in order to reassemble the thing that you had, then that's the landmine that they can hit. So that's unfortunate for Long Arm of the Law. I mean, I've not played Ret in a very long time in any sort of proper, sense. Yeah, but it certainly seems like it would be nice to count on Long Arm of the Law, and it will feel not nice to not have that.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's just kind of like the idea that they've always had that, because I saw someone bring this up in chat where View for Pally is wheelchair spec, And it's like, why is that the case? Why do they have to feel so wheelchair in a game that like makes enough sense for PvP, right? If you're going to be playing a game where, hey, we're going to go and plate is slow but dangerous, in the same way DKs technically are, where they bring you to them, they slow you, they kill you in range. But that's almost never how the game actually works, right? The game never works like plate. Oh, plate actually is notably stronger because so many specs have tools. It often feels like sometimes in PvE, it depends on like kind of who's balanced to be what. But most things have the tools that do whatever the hell they want. It's like, oh yeah, well there's a rogue just popping evasion, so it doesn't matter if, you know, the paladin is like immobile and is finally caught up to them with hand of hindrance. They just go, nope, I'm fucking out of there. Or, you know, a mage just double blinks away, you know, Frost Nova blink away, caught up, Frost Nova blink away. And it's the kind of thing where like there feels like there's a power creep, so the wheelchair fantasy just fucking sucks. It just doesn't bring anything really good, especially when Divine Steed is in such a long cooldown unless you do something about it. And it just feels like, yeah, no, it's not. It's just not really kind of.
I guess losing
really
your
good.
Conduits that make Divine Steed last so much longer, and then also losing Long Arm of the Law. It's a pretty shit double whammy.
Yeah, that's one of the things where it's like, because it's PvP, it's kind of annoying. But I mean, especially in PvE, because I think this is where most players will care, because Long Arm of the Law was going to be a talent that you could, you know, well maybe even for PvP, but like the idea of just not being able to go places in PvE is really shit. Because even like if you think about how your paladins are supposed to be resilient, they don't really have that many more tools than most. For movement, they've got Blessing of Freedom, which removes the hindrance from PvP. But that's about it. They've got Bop, but Bop has its own thing, only blocks physical damage. Then you've got, say, Shield of Vengeance. I can never remember the name of it. I want to call it Divine Protection, but that's the holy one. Hey, you've got Shield of Vengeance, but you compare that to, again, like a mage. It's like, well, you've got Ice Barrier every fucking 2 seconds. So there's like a mismatch in tools and fantasy that kind of makes it. Squishies don't feel squishy, because if squishies are squishy, then they just die in PvE. So plate doesn't feel any stronger, but they still fantasy wise are supposed to feel that way, but they aren't.
Yeah, well,
and then you sat there going, well, is my advantage that I'm slower and have more armor, which doesn't matter to magical damage coming through? So it's like, oh, you've got ice block that heals you, I've got divine shield. Ice block wins. It doesn't literally, because you can attack during divine shield and stuff, but like, it's still very interesting that the speed is kind of, just give us speed of light, thank you.
Well, it could be more than that. So Andrew, super following up a few things. So the basic sentiment is, what reason is there to bring Ret to a raid or an M+? There's no raid buff or like super unique thing that like Ret specifically has. Also, the Paladin forums on the NA site have been lighting up since that post. No one knows what this vision for... Yeah, basically, Blizzard have their vision for Ret. Players aren't necessarily feeling that. And I guess that's an interesting thing, because that's maybe more of a, like... really trying to push it to the limits. I mean, here's like maybe a decent example. Like, having a Paladin in your group can feel really powerful and really awesome, because they can just, like, throw an off-heal on. Or, like, do some kind of cool little bit of utility, whatever. But I guess when you really want to try to push things, like really in maybe an M+ or something, you need more than that. Yeah, you need something that's like not just nice to have. Like, you don't need the Paladin to be like, oh, resilient, friendly bro who can throw me an off heal. It needs to be like a fundamental toolkit thing. Yeah, I think and this is where you get into all these problems, because as an example, Ret is theoretically a great off healer, but Selfless Healer isn't all that strong, because it would be a little bit too strong for self-healing and stuff. But then you get like Healing Hands, Healing Hands is great, but it costs your output to heal. Same with like an Enhancement Shaman, where it costs your output to heal. So you can't really go for, oh yeah, they're kind of an off-healer, because they are, but only in danger, and they have to sacrifice their own DPS. And this is where you fall into the traditional problem of hybrid stuff, where for so long druids were kind of pointless. Whenever the game started to get to the Wrath and Kata stuff, they started to struggle, because it's like, well, you can't be able to heal in DPS, because then you're better than anyone else if you do as much DPS.
and can also heal, then you're objectively better. So why the fuck would anyone bring anything else? So to be a hybrid, you have to sacrifice your core, like, actual output.
Yeah.
Which then means, why bring you if no one needs healed? Which is going to be the goal all the time. You're never going to go, oh, well, we should maybe bring, couple off healers. You'll go, fuck it, we'll cut someone and bring a healer instead, or bring an extra healer or something along those lines. Or, you're maybe just not cut out for it. So it's that awkward situation of, like, what do they have unique over Holy Paladins who can just do all the Paladin utility and also, do their job fully well? Or a prop Paladin who can, even with, like, Word of Glory, the free one, every now and again, prop Paladins can off-heal way better than red Paladins can at no cost to their own efficiency whatsoever. And tremendously so, to the point where, obviously they changed up how prop Paladins healed, because in Legion they were fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And just, someone's at 10% HP, it's whatever, no problem, fully healed.
The less health you have, the more powerful it will be.
Yeah, it was straight up just, you could just solo heal.
You just may
forever.
as well lay on hands, lay on hands, lay on hands, lay on hands.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
It was super powerful.
Yeah, and like, if you want to say maybe, because obviously Andrew's throwing another super in there, saying, all the stuff that encourages degenerate gameplay, like Ret Aura and Shield of Vengeance, it's like, why does someone have to die for me to benefit? Yeah, that's kind of the thing where that's a cool fantasy in PvP of Shield of Vengeance. Someone has to peel from you, or they risk taking a lot more damage.
Yeah, or even just fighting some mobs in the world.
Yeah, or fighting mobs in the world, yeah. But then in PvE, it's like, well, I'm going to stand in the shit to actually do as max damage as Shield of Vengeance. I'm going to, especially even with, I think it just does extra damage based on the Blessing of Sacrifice absorption, or how much sacrifice is transferred in the new Alpha Talent tree. And that's kind of like a little bit degen. Red Aura is obviously fantasy full, but not really very degenerate. Like, they could probably do something better with the idea of retribution, or I think it's been changed a little bit for it's been changed for Dragonflight, where it's, I think if someone goes below 40%, but that's still not ideal. You still don't want that to happen. So it should be like maybe every X damage that your ally or your team takes, you get X whatever. But even that's degenerate, because then it's, have people take extra damage to make your parse better, or to make you do more damage, and that's where, like, that's interesting stuff, but it doesn't, I guess
yeah.
It doesn't fit in PvE in the clean form that it is now. It fits in the past, so without suddenly being able to heal a lot for free, or have a load of passive healing, in the same way that Nature's Vigil is the druid ability that turns 20% of single target damage into healing, and vice versa. Unless they get something like that, or like even like Divine, because I think Divine Storm used to heal at some point. I think that might have been a Legion artifact power, artifact weapon talent, where Divine Storm would heal a little bit. It's like they need to get healing in there for free, or something Paladin in there for free, or at least something that is stronger than, I guess, just bring a prop Pala, or just bring a Holy Paladin. And then it's kind of tricky. The only way to do that is give them more damage. But where's the unique part?
If it just turns into give them a buff, that's like, whatever. That's just like hitting the problem with a mallet.
Yeah.
Because then if we always do that, then you can see the problems. But that's actually something Blizzard have talked about themselves a lot. There's another side. Katie here dropped a super saying with how the ability, the Drakthir hover ability works. I'm amazed they don't just make wings give you a small flight and some speed, kind of like Urel from WoD. There you go. So every time you hit wings, you are taken to the fucking skies. Which, I mean, hey, that could, how would I put that with wings? Because obviously you'd never use wings as a bit of movement utility in that world. But it would ensure that whenever you use wings, I guess you could say that would make wings interesting in PvP, because you could chase somebody, and it would also mean that, like, you use wings, you kind of know you can get to the person that you want to go after. Yeah,
maybe that's a cool idea, and would probably be helpful for the overall fantasy and stuff like that, because wings feels fucking good as it is. Crusade used to feel really good until they nerfed the shit out of it, basically. But I'm trying to think of like what's good for them for, because the only thing I can really think of that works for PvE in like the grand sense is just something fucking boring or milquetoast. Like, hey, what if they get AMZ, Paladin
Yeah,
AMZ,
so, like,
or something like that. Like
Andrew Superden, I think maybe brings up some of that point.
Yeah.
In a way, it feels like whoever's designing Ret's doing it based on PvP, not PvE, which is frustrating, beyond frustrating. We just need a voice. Feels less like the feedback. Basically, doesn't feel like the feedback's being heard. And then that's kind of interesting because I think Paladin ends up like performing really well in this PvE one-man army class fantasy where it's just so nice to have a Paladin around. But then, as you said, there are the penalties for being a hybrid. And
they technically aren't, but they're sort of they're theoretically is.
Yeah. So then it's that weird thing where it's like, if you are really trying to push it to the limit, then them having a little bit of hybridiness, or suddenly their Divine Storm heals a bit, like that's not going to be a fundamental utility thing that's like a big reason in the same way that like Aspect of the Fox, say back in Kata or whatever that was. Was that Kata? Was that Wads? I think that was WAD. Anyway.
Well, it was in WAD.
But where it's like, that's the thing they do that's really big and really impactful, and that's like their big reason in PvE. I guess like with, some sort of like barrier or something.
Yeah, I mean, Druids of Stampeding Roar, that's like super important a lot of the time. You've got AMZ, which was, until the change, was extremely valuable, and you just stack DKs and if you needed like to actually limit the amount of damage you're taking for big damage events, stuff like that.
Per Savix, it's not really great in PvP either. I guess that's the sort of thing. If the core class fantasy is you are this, like my belief is so strong, I'm a one-man army, I can be invincible for a bit. I can heal, you can do all that stuff. It's like great for low-level teamwork, great for being individually very capable.
Yeah.
Maybe less great for the like comp building side, and maybe that's just what's interesting. Whereas, because I feel like for the average raid group of like average to not that good players, there's definitely very high value of having a few people who can throw an op heal in, or who can do something that's helpful or have a nice little bit of. Yeah,
I mean the amount of honestly, I think most of our mythic kills in Taurus were down to, people like me being able to be prop pal and go, hey, fucking there. Oh, what's that? A DPS is about to die? No, you're not. Never mind. Even like Leon Hansen stuff is like good as that. Bop's good like that. Spell warding being potentially a ret thing. I say potentially because they can take it. But if I don't remember the class tree very well, I think that comes at a little bit of a sacrifice to what rets should have all the time. Because it's pretty deep it's like the bottom of the middle, which where prot kind of goes. So it's like there's a little bit of just that identity loss of maybe they need a like AoE healing cooldown. That might work. Where maybe it's small, maybe it amplifies healing, something along those lines. But it needs to have something that the other Paladin specs don't. That actually feels really good to have. Because there's no point to take one at the minute. I mean, even there's a version of Ret where maybe even you go. Maybe they get their own aspect of the eagle. Maybe during a cooldown they can just exercise at range and that does plenty of damage, so they have like flexibility there. Or maybe no, that's a little bit strong, but the old, oh my god, I can't remember what it's called. The old holy ability, the cast time ability they had, that would stop an enemy from critting while it was up. Maybe something along those lines. Maybe something that fits the feeling of defensiveness or healing that they can do on command to feel better than holy or better than prot, or at least different. Even Divine Steed gives other people speed boosts. I don't know. Wings gives... No, you couldn't have Wings give other people crit. That would be fucking crazy good. But that would be cool. Because, I mean, leader of the pack, 5% crit back in the day for Mark of the Wild, the minute gives some stat. Why not have a wing? Well, no, I suppose you can't have Wings give extra fucking damage because then
you tie that into your power infusion. And, well, it's not now even you're in trouble.
It's not even PI. It's more that then you have the denounce. Yeah, denounce. I remember it was holy, but I was thinking about it like, what could they possibly do? Fuck it, make Wings make everyone do more damage for the duration as well, and then just make them impossible to not bring. Sorted, fixed. I fixed your game, Blizzard. Thank you.
You fixed it with a humongous hammer.
Yeah. Isn't that fitting?
There we go.
Isn't that fitting?
There we go. Yes, yeah. That's it. Avenging Wrath gives all of your party 50% bonus damage during its duration, but only one paladin. There.
Yeah. No,
now there'll always be a rat paladin.
No, then you have to use wings for others rather than your personal DPS.
There we go. There we go.
It is impossible to do things right here.
I love it. Every fucking, all of the normal MMO fucking arguments and counterpoints.
Yeah,
we need something like a blessing or a real aura that makes ret desirable. Mop Wad ret was probably the best we had in a long while. Regardless of discussion this. Oh, you're welcome. No, it's interesting.
Yeah,
I think what way to go with things.
Class design and class fantasy is super important for like how do you be a rat paladin and feel really cool without it sacrificing your DPS?
I guess just like
because a lot of other classes go out of the way to not sacrifice DPS to do the thing that they do, or even do stuff out of combat that's really interesting. Maybe there's maybe a group pacify you can do to mimic a cloak of shadows or something like that. Something like that, maybe. I don't know. That would be a wee bit weird. That's more of a priesty kind of thing, I think. But like, the kind of, we're good holy guys. Don't touch us. We're good from. That wouldn't make sense. But you know the kind of idea. Yeah, there's loads of ideas, and it's just this is where I get annoyed with the game having 38 fucking specs. Whereas like, if I bet the person who did that tree would love another week to sit and mull on it and think of what they could do is really cool, and get the implementation of that, because that's the other thing you think it's interesting. So much of cause I think I saw Word Up talk about this earlier on Twitter, saying everyone's asking me how enhancement plays. Can't fucking tell you. It's not done yet. They've got so many talents that are NYI not yet implemented.
Yep, that's
and
big.
That's the case for. It was the case for Rogue as well. I wanted to try a couple cool new sub Rogue things, and it's like, sorry, it's not in. Like, all right, never mind. I guess alpha's alpha. The game's not done yet. But you really think there's just not really enough there. I guess.
Yeah,
it's not really enough.